Wow, look at us. We are really out on Beyonce's internet.
Yes,
Welcome, everybody. Welcome. We are really out on Beyonce's internet, just live for no reason. My name is DiDi Delgado, and I am bringing you another episode of The Full Set.
Yeah.
I am here with my esteemed colleague. I'm just going to continue to say esteemed colleague for as long as I live, because I really enjoy saying that. I'm here with my esteemed colleague, TajhDanielleSutton. Taj, how you doing today?
I'm okay. I'm nervous. I'm not gonna lie to you.
You nervous?
Oh yes.
Yeah, I was telling you I was nervous too. Because we in a time of the coronavirus. Like,
the Rona is here.
Everything is happening, right? Like life is happening around us.
Yes.
But life was already happening.
Correct.
So it's double life.
Right. The Rona is digging everybody mess up. It's a lot. It's a lot right now.
There's a lot going on. No, you're absolutely right. So I'm just going to the video just so I can go into the comments. So I just want to give your bio to people. Tajh Sutton is a content creator. Sure enough is, because I've been following your content. Culture critic, published author, arts educator, and grassroots organizer in Brooklyn, New York. You like how I said New York? Like a New York?
I liked it a lot.
Thank you, Bill. Tajh currently serves as Community Education Council President in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, which we'll get into in a second.
Ooh.
Is the founder, curriculum design supervisor, and lead choreographer at Young People of Color Incorporated, and the curator of Loc Love Lives Here, an online community dedicated to unpacking the politics of Black beauty through a queer Black feminist lens free of colorism, fatphobia, or texture discrimination. Are y'all gonna do me a favor and hit that Cashapp and my Venmo? I'm gonna make it in post, and it's gonna be a list. Everybody's gonna be excited. So how you doing today? How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm better. I feel good. Talking to you is nice.
I know it's not just me though. It's you. Like, I think whenever Black femmes do get together, I was telling you this earlier, it's like a different vibe. Like, I could have no questions for you and be like, ask my sister to be my friend. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like we just gonna get right into it. So, something I wanted to talk to you, there's something I've been having an issue with. I don't know if you having an issue with it, because you seemingly are a person that goes through life without issue. I know that may be naive of me to say, but I'm saying it because the way that you handle issues as they arise. I mean, like, you remind me, who's the actress who played Simba's mother in The Lion King? You know who I'm talking about. She also played the mom in Coming to America.
Yo, that's so crazy, because I was just looking up her name today. I do.
Really?
Dead ass, yes.
You a Scorpio. I feel it. I'm a Pisces, so we just always gonna be on the same wavelength.
Oh, my babies are Pisces. That's why.
You know the stoic way in which that actress talks. If somebody wants to comment in the comments, the stoic way, that I feel like that's how you react to life's problems. You're like, there's no food, Scar.
On the surface, yes. But you know what? I was telling someone I'm in community with on the Ed Council. That's very much a product of being in danger, like, all the time, and having to
talk about it.
Make sure that the way that you react to any given external stimuli doesn't further endanger you. So I've been explaining to a lot of people, particularly around this education work, that is like curated as fuck. And that's a defense mechanism and a form of self-preservation that I'm actually working on unpacking, because it looks good to the public.
Right.
But it's like very toxic to be just always thinking about, okay, well, how is this going to be received? And what words should I use? And what am I going to wear? And can I wear this head wrap and all this shit? I guess the visual stuff I don't really give a fuck about, because, like, my hair is my hair and that tells its own story. But I do notice that, like, my language and reactions to things are incredibly, like, there's a lot of thought put into that. And I don't even have to think about it. And it's a natural reaction. Like, okay, this is the space. This is the amount of people of color in the room. This is the amount of Black femmes in the room.
Right.
It's a track record of the people I'm currently surrounded by.
Right.
So how do I proceed?
there was a conference that you and I were at together. I don't know if you remember it. I'm not going to mention every conference we've ever been at together, but there was one in Kingsbridge that we was in the Bronx together. It was Tanya shit. It
come
was
on, Tanya. I love
come
her
on.
so much. Come
and you
through,
came
Tanya.
and you was like, ah, because niggas, I was like, that's the real Taj I needed to see. Like,
yes, I felt so safe.
I was about to say, you must have felt secure around us then now that you're explaining it, because I was like, okay, let me get to know this Taj better.
I felt so safe. Yeah. I want to be that bitch everywhere, but I know that I just wouldn't have the access that I have, unfortunately. And there's a lot of, it's fucked up because it's not something I want to do, but I know if I hadn't been doing it, I wouldn't have made the strides I've been able to make in my community. You mentioned me growing up in Williamsburg, and that's where I'm on the council. And we had our first Black Lives Matter at School action this past calendar year.
Girl, I know. Go ahead, tell me about it.
That was a whole, that was a project, and it took a lot of, my co-president and I, we endured a lot of gaslighting, a lot of tone policing, and we got it done. And we were really excited. Because,
so you were successful with having Black Lives Matter week at school?
Yes.
In Brooklyn?
Yes.
In the whitest part of Brooklyn. One of the whitest parts of Brooklyn.
We represent.
Our Slope is a close second.
So yeah, we represent Williamsburg, Greenpoint, Bushwick, and like a teeny tiny sliver of Bed-Stuy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like historic shit. But like the process to make that happen was violent as fuck.
Right.
And it took that version of me that you're used to. And now in certain spaces, I was definitely the bitch you saw in the Bronx. But
I was like, come back to the Bronx, please.
I have to pick and choose, and I hate that we have to do that. And it's this weird line that you told, like wanting people to show up as themselves and being angry at them for not showing up as themselves, and also understanding the danger. Mm-hmm. So what I try to do is, like, most people know both versions, and I just try to make space for the folks who are still showing up as themselves, the folks who don't code switch, who don't do the bullshit. I'm like, yeah, let's make sure that she's in the room and I can support her, because they know, like, the nice Black lady version of me, so they'll listen to me. But I can just give her my spot and be like, no, I actually want to hear what she has to say. Right. And not because I co-signed her and the palatable version of me. I can put her in there. There was
a woman, I was actually really shocked. I mean, I shouldn't have been shocked because I know Tanya got a bullshit infiltrator, like just built in or whatever. Right. But there was a woman from city council. I can't remember her name. It started with an A, or maybe it was a C. I don't know. She was just powerful as fuck. You're talking about an event that happened, over 8 or 9 months ago, No, she was from New York City Council, and she was like, she presented as cardigan, pearl wearing Miss Fannie Mae. And as soon as she opened her mouth, she was like, well, let me tell you something. Right.
Like, she's really great.
Yes, you for the people.
Councilmember Gibson. Like, I was just on a...
What's her first name?
Let me look right now.
Thank you. Let's just be honest. Come on, Google. Alexa, what is Councilmember Gibson's name? Like, come on.
No, yeah, she's awesome. She's very straightforward.
She's very straightforward. We need more people like that. And we need to, I appreciate you lifting that up. We need to make space for that. Because right now, you got a lot of people, I won't say who, pull your pants up. Don't talk like that. You're being mad disrespectful.
Yeah,
That's the end of the tape. What did you say? Did she say something correct though?
Right.
Can you not let that narrative of like she was being disrespectful obscure the truth or whatever? Right. That brings me to my next question with you. Does truth telling turn you on or not?
It's the best. It's my favorite thing. It gets me really hot. Yes. It's my fave, because why lie? Like, even in the context of like, bitch, you not showing up as your full self. Like, let's have a conversation about that. And let's talk about the degrees to which niggas show up as somebody else. Because it's one thing to say, I'm doing this work in this environment and I can show up as XYZ% Black as fuck. Right. To make folks feel safe around me, but also get what I need for my community, versus I'm in here and I'm just doing this shit for me and I don't really care about nobody else. And if I have to assimilate, then that's what I'm going to do to get ahead. In a perfect world, I wouldn't have to do any of that shit. And I'd still be heard and affirmed and listened to and be able to do this work. But like, the gaslighting was so crazy, DiDi. Like, I was ready to quit, and I hadn't even been there that long.
Yeah, I know. It was like mid last year that you had just got elected.
I'm glad I stayed. Like, we're doing wonderful work, but the cost is like outrageous. It's outrageous.
It's expensive
As fuck.
I hear you on that. I was just talking to a white lady today who told me she left her job. And she was like, if I had a word of advice for you, not that I'm leaving my job. Let me just clear that up right now. But, well, publicly, I won't say that. But she's like, if I had a word of advice for you, she was like, stay connected with people and this, that, and the third. So I was going to make a post. It's funny you say that, but I decided not to because I'm just in my space. So I want to talk to you about something that really burns me up. And it just burns me up because I'm a nebulous nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just, yeah, I mean, I have no modesty around that. I think we have to talk about where we show up greatly at, whatever. And I think I could just like hone in on the shit that I do good. And I could think about the shit that I do not good, right? Mm-hmm. So, we had a conversation about like, how did we first meet? And niggas don't know. Like, I think I was like, at what point you showed up, and then I was like, yes, who are you?
Right. And I was also like, yes, who is this bitch? Yes, tell the people, teach the children.
Something that you and I have often, sometimes, I won't say often, sometimes have agreed upon is like this faux sense of accountability that exists in a vacuum right now as it is. My question to you is accountability, what does it look like? And do you think we have built a framework to do it correctly in 2020?
Oh, man.
Oh, man. Oh, God. I should be your hype person. Yo, you would be Drake, and I'll be the nigga that jumps around behind Drake.
That was so good. My son would have loved that. Because there's just so many nuances, like, because what works for an in-person conflict, for example, may not work for an online space. Mm-hmm. And I also feel like the nature of the relationship you have with a person before the conflict also plays a role in how the conflict is resolved. I think that in the case of strangers, it's very easy to jump on folks because you don't know them and you don't care. And I think that's an interesting point of contention where social media is concerned, because a lot of the rhetoric is around taking care of each other and sisterhood and protecting each other. But it's like very easy and often happens that, we dogpile one another. At the same time, I also do
dogpile. Go ahead, talk about it.
But I also, like, sometimes I look at the dogpile and I'm like, bitch, that's what you get. Because I feel like sometimes, like at our big ages, if we're talking about...
Did you say big ages? Go ahead, talk about it, Taj. I'm a big age bitch. You understand what I'm saying to you?
There's just certain shit that you shouldn't, like, you have no business doing or saying. And if you're going to do that on the internet, there has to be an expectation that somebody's going to come and check you. Now, the way that they check you, of course, that's probably the most important piece. But again, there's all these different things to take into consideration. Do you know this person? Is this person in integrity, right? In the communities that they say they love or represent. If you got a shitty ass track record and you already done said some shit 2 weeks ago that was sus.
It's a content. Bitch, I don't know the word. Is it continuum or continuum?
Yes, continuum. There you go. We got it. We figured it out. Yes.
It's a continuum of poor behavior. What I get worried about is, okay, so boom. This has nothing to do with me, so I think it's perfectly to talk about. So there is a Black woman. She runs an organization called BuyNet USA. Look, I had to hydrate my lips because I'm on Beyonce's bandwidth.
What do you got to do?
Looking dusty. Okay, so okay, and I'm gonna put a little bit on my edges too. All right, so there's a woman, and she made a statement. The statement may or may not have been true. Who knows? I don't care. I actually don't care. It floors me, the fact that she made this statement about who created the bi flag, the bisexual pride flag, in 1998, my nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who did it? Was it her company and organization, or was it another nigga? I don't know. Nobody knows, and it's fine. Right. But she felt, you know, if white queer people, because I feel like Black queer folk are their own demographic, but when it comes to white queer people, we're queer, and like that's all they got. They really don't have many of them do not have a political analysis. That's neither here nor there. What I noticed happened though is regardless if she was correct or not in her assertion, right? And when I say assertion, as a Black femme, I could say assertion and just feel like she was being straightforward. But when white people are using the word, oh, you asserted that you were gonna sue people and da-da-da, they're using it as violence. They're doxing her, they're sharing her stuff, they're telling Twitter to take down her account, they're telling her to delete herself, you know, all this shit. And I'm like, that's wild, because this woman has been organizing since the early 70s, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? So conversation about who owns something turned into misogynoir. Like, if you wouldn't say that shit to fucking Amanda, you wouldn't say none of the shit you saying right now to Amanda, don't say it to her. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so, you know, it's just wild. Like they even took her ratings down from her page. It was so bad. And so when you talk about the dog piling, I think about, you know, someone said in the comments, Roxanne said I had to hydrate every 30 minutes. And Francis said queerness is a political position. And yes, that's what I wanted to clarify. It is a political position to say I'm queer, right? And so like, it is. Tia Nancy was talking about in a previous show, like how a lot of people should just consider themselves gay, because that's the flag, that's the pride, that's all that shit, whatever. But when you're queer, you're making a political statement, like, you know what I'm saying? So, but anyways, everybody is asking if they could be your hype person, and also, there was another question that yeah, Francis wants to be your hype person. I told her I would.
Hey, baby.
Ask you. Okay.
You already are.
A lot of fans. You got a lot of fans. I ain't got no fans, but you got a lot of fans. It's fine.
You got fans too. Cut it out. Stop it. You know what's interesting? I want to go back to the dog piling piece just for a second.
Sorry. I brought that up so you could see that it's not about me. I'm giving you an example of something happening in real time. This is a woman who has years. And I guess what I was trying to hone in is the dog piling happens so pervasively that it kind of builds this narrative about the person, about this one thing, but it builds a narrative about their whole entire career or their whole selves, right? I can't stand the dog pile. I hate when bitches do that.
I can't be mad at that. What was, before I forget, what's jumping out at me is like in my heart of hearts, I believe that one of the ways that we organize as Black mages is to see shit go down, know that it's not integrity with our community, and take action, particularly on social media. And one of the ways that I know we do that is that ratings thing. So to find out that that tactic is being utilized against
a Black woman,
like that pisses me off and that breaks my heart, because they get so much shit from us and then they turn it around and weaponize it against us. So that's jumping out at me right now. And
I think for saying that.
What happened with, was the brand the Honey Pot?
The Honey Pot, Shea Moisture. I see where you're going with this. Come on, sis.
And it's just wild, because when we take those kinds of actions, it's never as, I don't know, like, it just pisses me off that they have that flexibility, because a lot of times we'll try to do the same and they'll just like, you know, the comments are off or the reviews are shut off.
Right.
And like, they
had Twitter delete she deleted her account, but they had Twitter delete. Now, you know, you a Black woman. If somebody gets buck enough to send you a fucking email, you gonna post the email. Now, me, you, maybe because we've been doing this long enough, we know to obscure the pertinent email / the name of the person, but like a slash. Like, you know what I'm saying? It don't gotta be the full crap out, like, you know. And that's not what she did. She posted this threatening email. It was threatening, so nobody wants to discuss how threatening it was, but everybody's like, you doxed her. And I'm like, whiteness was so pervasive, and I feel like, not that I feel like I'm doing it by myself, like advocating for her, but I just think not a lot of people know, or they're not wanting to get a mess. So like, what say you, like, if somebody wants to be on the right side of the conversation but just don't want to be involved in mess? I've gotten more inboxes I was like, I seen what happened on so-and-so's page, and I agree with you, but I don't fuck with that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
So I get like not wanting to be in mess, but I also like, I don't know, because there's just, you only have so many fucking spoons, right? And like, there's like a 24/7 attack being waged both in the physical world and on the internet against Black mages. So if we jump into every scuffle, like we won't have room or air for anything else.
Right.
At the same time, I think it's always worthwhile to chime in, particularly on those stories that get airtime and publicity, just because it outlines the shit that we are saying 24/7, 365 anyway. But then on the flip side of that, like, how fucking exhausting is that? Like,
right.
To be repeating yourself over and over. And the people that really need to hear you anyway, like, they don't give a fuck. They're not listening. They're the ones doxing this girl and fucking up her reviews. So it really becomes a matter of like.
I found myself getting obscured in Twitter nonsense today. I really did.
That used to be me. Twitter,
okay.
YouTube.
What made you stop? Did you stop?
I did stop for the most part. Occasionally I'll get buck with somebody on Twitter and then block them.
You look like a fist kider. I know that you wholesome. You wrap your head with scarves and shit like that. You got kids.
Head wraps
no, bitch, I'm not letting no head wrap fool me. I already know.
Energy and feminism all up in the head wrap.
I already know.
I hide it. Yeah, I don't know. It really was just fucking, like, honestly, it was just my mental health could not take it. And I'm someone who very deeply throws themselves into things. So if I'm like fighting with someone on your behalf on Twitter, like that's my whole day. Like I'm arguing with niggas all day.
My nigga,
like,
I was late to my husband's whole event because I was arguing with niggas on Twitter today. I should have been packing up books. I should have been, I don't know, like doing a meditation. Tam was gonna be so pissed at me.
And like, we have the right to do that. And like, we deserve the energy spent on us because no one else is spending that energy on us.
Thank you for saying that. Say it again, one more time.
A way to be like we deserve that from each other because we know no one else is filling those gaps. No one else gives a fuck enough, honestly, to be on Twitter going back and forth with somebody who is dragging a dark-skinned girl or dragging a fat Black woman for wearing a crop top or dragging Black queer folks for asking what the fuck we're doing with corporate sponsors at Pride. You know, like all of that shit matters and we deserve to speak out and be angry.
Right.
I also want us to be healthy. And I don't think I found a balance yet, honestly. Because disengagement also means sometimes like you feel like these niggas is winning. And that's another thing that nobody wants. So it's a hard thing to like settle with personally. What I take comfort in is that we are so fucking bossed up that if I'm not doing that shit, I know somebody else is.
Right.
And I think that that's kind of right now, that's what we have. So that's kind of how we split the weight. You know what I mean? Like some DiDi might be on one day, then I might be on one day, then AJ might be on one. Then, you know, like without even meaning to, I see us holding that weight as necessary and shifting and moving as necessary. But I do really worry about us weathering just from the weight of all of these things that we have to carry alone. And I know that I'm not taking good care of myself. Like point blank.
I was about to ask you, what you doing for self-care?
Not a thing, not a single thing.
Thank you for being honest. Because, you know, too many people get on my show and be like, well, you know, I take salt baths and I exercise my demons.
Baths. The demons are running amok, okay? There's no face mask. There's no bath bombs, my nigga. I'm on like 5 to 7 Zoom calls a day. My husband is like, can you please take a break? I'm like, how?
Right.
It's a very specific space that I occupy in my community.
Right.
A lot of us feel that way, you know, whether it's our community or our family or our organization or whatever it is. And you genuinely feel like shit is going to fall apart if you don't do your part. And some of us, unfortunately, we've experienced taking that break and shit falling apart.
Right.
So it's hard to reconcile, like, yes, I can actually rest and things will be handled because we're so used to just carrying everything and that being normal. Of course,
I feel personally attacked by this relatable content.
Like, of course, that shouldn't be normal, but like, there's so much to do. And even when folks let us do it, like, they don't want to pay for our labor. They don't want to put us in front of the camera and let us actually do the talking. They don't want to pay for the content. Everything is a fucking consultation that nobody wants to pay for. I want to pick your brain. Let's go out to coffee. Bitch, that's a dissertation. Where is my money?
Show me the money.
I mean,
speaking of showing people the money, the pinned comment is Tajh's Venmo, Cashapp, all the things. Let me pin the comment one more. It says pinned. I don't know why it's not showing up. But it's in the description and it's also on Fleek. And I just got one of my fundraisers met, so I'm gonna throw in some money.
Hey,
I mean, I could do what I can because this we not making money.
Not
yet. Yet. I'm trying to claim it.
Come on and claim it. Come on, the full set. We out here.
Come on, look at you, Brandon. Come on.
Listen, I know y'all better listen to episodes 1 through 16. I know that. Y'all better.
Episode 17.
Y'all better listen. You about to get DiDi suited, booted, and on somebody's television, okay?
Well, and that's the thing is that, I was thinking about, a lot of people have been actually inboxing me and saying, I'm going to tag my cousin. I'm going to get you, in spaces. And I'm like, if I can't bring folks that I fuck with along with me, I feel like Bronny, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike right now. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, I and a lot of people, me and Tam was talking about this. I want to be different. Like, you know what I'm saying? It'd be very easy for me to put everybody by the side, focus on myself, but it wouldn't be easy. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it wouldn't be easy, and it would come at a different price that me, myself, I'm not willing to pay. So
you can be in integrity with yourself. And I think that's a lot of...
That's a trigger word.
Like the most prominent, most affluent individuals who say they're doing the work, they have some shit going on that I definitely don't want to be a part of. And I tag so many people that I know, particularly from this space, social media, because I feel like we build such strong connections here that we might not get to have in real life. And I know that those are the people that will hold me accountable. I actually made a post with respect to the education council I'm on. And it was in regard to Black Lives Matter at School Week, because I had been getting hella pushback, particularly from white admin. And I made like a little Q&A to kind of answer some questions.
Right, okay.
That I said was like, is Black Lives Matter at school a cop, like anti-cop? And I said no, because the framework isn't technically anti-cop, and I wanted to create buy-in. And you surely showed up to that post like, well, I hate the police. And I was really...
Did I fuck your shit up?
You didn't fuck my shit up. Here's the thing, when we talk about integrity, the fact that you felt like you could say that to me is important.
Look, I mean, didn't I tell you earlier, don't even be knowing I have conflict with niggas.
Listen, we were not in conflict. I felt like shit, but that's because I had my own stuff going on with respect to the allowances I was making so that I could be a successful council member. That had nothing to do with you. But the fact that you showed up to the post and said what you said and felt like you could, that's one of those ways that you're doing the work, right? And that you're in community with the niggas that you say you're in community with. Because if you didn't feel like you could share that with me publicly without some kind of backlash or conflict, then I'm not doing my job. Because at the end of the day, all the allowances are being made so that I can bring folks to the table, right? And I hate to use that because fuck the table, right. Break the table, but that's the systems I'm navigating right now. And so I have to have this kind of double consciousness of here's right. The framework and the language that they're using. Here's what I know to be true and what my community needs. How can I use their bullshit to get my folks what they need? But the fact that
I appreciate, no, go ahead, sorry.
I'm like, yes, absolutely, fuck the police.
You're like, I'm trying to tell these white people it's not about fuck the police. And also,
I can't say that in the context of council member, but I feel that resonates. And I'm happy that you feel like you could come on this post and talk your shit, because that's really what it's about, like making our folks feel safe.
I appreciate you saying that. And, I was telling you, I was like, sometimes we be on the show and like niggas is just talking about real experiences we have with one another. You and I have met each other a couple of times now. And it's like, oh, I didn't even know that bothered you or whatever, but I'm glad that we can talk about it. And so to me, that solidifies that Black women can be like miffed a little bit by something you did or said, but we don't have to destroy each other over it. Like, oh, right. this bitch was trying to come for me. Like,
right.
bitch, I didn't know what you was doing. You was answering questions. And I was like, well, this is how I feel about your questions and your answer session. Like,
no, right. I thought about hitting you up, but I'm like, you know damn well this don't have nothing to do with DiDi, what you're feeling right now. Like, this is you coming in terms.
Did you do a self-reflection?
What happened? No, I genuinely didn't hear you.
Oh, no. I was asking if you did a self-reflection.
I did. Once the like, wow, you sellout ass bitch wore off. Because that's where I was at. I was like, you are raggedy. You are out here letting these white people talk to you crazy. You need to just hang up the towel and go back to just like doing your completely unpaid work with YPOC, because at least you can like not feel bad and be gassed all the time. But the entire fucking district is talking about Black Lives Matter. Like, we had a legislative breakfast and we hung a big ass Black Lives Matter in District 14 banner. Like, that shit wouldn't have happened. Right. The framework we laid. I try to keep it in perspective, but it is hard because I intentionally surround myself with Black mage radicals because that keeps me sane and that keeps me aware of the bullshit. So now navigating this space where I have to relearn skills I intentionally lost because I know that showing up as myself is enough. It's just,
I'm gonna write that down. I know that showing up as myself is enough. TajhDanielleSutton, come on, boo. Work with what you got.
All of that. But I also know that like in this small, medium, brown skin body, speaking the King's English, that I can navigate these spaces in a way that some of my comrades can't. And so kicking down the door for them is kind of how I make peace with all the feelings I've been having. Like, me being in this space allows so many other people who wouldn't be in the space otherwise to be in the space and to feel comfortable.
Can I say thank you to you?
Sure. I'm terrible at taking compliments, but you can say
so you gotta be quiet while I say this. You're so cute. I want to say thank you because all too often conversations like the one that we did not have happen, and there is a disconnect and a breaking apart of Black mages, right? In which we never come back together again. So I want to say thank you because I actually do, for in as much as I like let you rock for a month without speaking to you, I appreciate the connection that I have to you. It's my connection to you is not to ascend myself. My connection to you is a grounding thing. I feel like you are one of the very few people that I know that are just about your business and you are about Black femmes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I want to say thank you because that conversation and me commenting and turning out of turn, or you trying to get your bag, or you trying to get this event on and popping for your children and for these kids that you advocate out here for, it could have went totally left. You could have called your homegirl, you know, and been like, do you see what this bitch? And then your homegirl give you the episode in her head about what this bitch was all about. And then y'all, like, you know what I'm saying? And now that's the narrative. So I want to say thank you because I will say it before. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I do feel like Black women can be in community in this way, right? Instead of the way that some of us are. Like, you know, I'm friends with people who are no longer friends with the friends that they was friends, how I met them. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that can be difficult. And I think a lot of times it comes down to ego. Feeling like people have tried you so much that you won't be tried this time, even though this person may have showed up differently in your life than everything else that you've ever met. So I just want to say thank you because that now that you told me that could have went a totally different way.
You didn't do anything wrong though. Like that.
I know, but had you not done that self-reflection, who knows? You would have told the story that I did everything wrong. And you have your own subset. Sorry, I think I froze, but you have your own subset of followers, and you would have been like, DiDi Delgado, I don't fuck with her. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you had been a different person at a different time. You know what I'm saying?
Happens. Yeah.
What do I know? So I want to talk to you. This is me. What do I know? I want to talk to you about a concept that's been happening. So you're working on a project for mutual aid. Do you want to tell us about it?
Sure. I mean, it's nothing Black mages haven't been doing since the beginning of time. Okay. But I'm just, I have the pleasure and great fortune to just be collecting cash donations and delivering food as needed, along with my council members throughout Williamsburg, Bushwick, Bed-Stuy, and Greenpoint. This is very, very recent. We just kind of got everything together, but we're excited about it because we know we can fill, some gaps in the district. Because if they're just getting put on to all these things now that we're on the council, that means that there's communities that they have not been looking out for historically. So we just wanted to provide an additional option. Also, there's a level of comfort that doesn't exist for certain communities when you're dealing with these entities. Everyone's like, this hotline or go to this office, but maybe I don't fuck with them. And maybe I don't even have documentation or papers signing up for your little form or your application. So this is just human to human. Here's my number, and I'll drop off some food at your door, and that's it.
Right. Or it's word of mouth. You know what I'm saying? That this person don't even have a telephone number, but you ran into their family and they're like, yo, my cousin and they auntie, like, they not doing too good or whatever. Can you visit this house at this address? I'm gonna go stop over there first and see, if they good with it and what they need. And I'm gonna hit you back. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's all love with me. I already know what you're talking about because this is what we do. Right. I wanted to talk to you about the concept of mutual aid and how all of a sudden now it's a buzzword. And it's not a replacement for reparations work. And I love how you said that we've been doing this shit already.
I mean,
I hate it here. Why do you believe that white people can grasp the concept of mutual aid, but cannot grasp, as a need of restoring what is lost, right? Or what has not been gained, and can't yet grasp the concept of reparations?
Oh, DiDi. Oh, DiDi. Well, see, what had happened was they didn't lose anything. The whole slavery thing, they didn't take no L's. That has nothing to do with them, and they are not responsible for their forefathers and mothers' actions. This pandemic is fucking everybody's shit up.
They're like, everybody's responsible but us.
So we real clear on the necessity of support right now because your shit is fucked up.
Right.
When my shit was fucked up and I was like, hey, we're all human beings. We're connected. You were like, miss me with the bullshit, bootstrap.
Right.
Now everybody is collecting a stimulus check.
Even the rent conversation. Remember, we was raising money for Black women to get their rent paid, right?
Right, and
now niggas is like, cancel rent. Niggas would be white people before would be like, you know what? If you can't afford rent, maybe you should stop procreating and having children.
Right.
Like,
you have name brand sneakers. Can I have one nice thing, bitch?
Right. Can I have joy?
And still be poor. Poor as fuck with 2 or 3 wonderful things, and you want to take my nails, my hair, and my goddamn Gucci bag from me.
Come on, Tajh.
Alone. You and I don't say shit about your Uniqlo.
What?
I don't say shit.
Is that the double layer heated jacket?
Whatever man. I'm not bothering y'all about them ugly Pandora bracelets. I'm not bothering y'all about the exorbitant amounts of coffee you drink when you could just make.
I was just about to mention Cafe Nero and them damn lattes. I was just about to. Yep.
Leave us alone. Leave us alone. We all manage our money in the same ways to get the same things. Clothes, smartphones. That is a universal truth. Black folks.
Everybody need internet. We now know it's a utility. Spectrum giving cable to everybody. Come on now. These kids need the Wi-Fi for their fucking tablets. Come on now. So let me ask you another question.
And they still won't make it free.
Yep.
Because the caveat was you can't owe any money on your bill. Then you could get the free internet.
Oh, I didn't even know because I didn't even ask them because I was like, leave space for somebody who needed it.
I had a whole bunch of parents. We were so excited to share that news with them. And then we found out that if you had an outstanding bill, your ass was not eligible.
So let's talk about it. Okay, because I'm ready to get into it. I really am. So when you was talking about, because we started talking about mutual aid as like, things that have been absorbed from Black femmes. Like now niggas know that you can get a check or you can send, there are organizations that are sending out Venmos and PayPals and all that shit, whatever. I'm like, I feel like the 2 queer men or the pretend queer men on Living Color hated it,
No, deadass.
Now that we know all of this, let's talk about how provisional and conditional it is, right? So as an artist, right? A bitch is an artist. Like, have awards, have traveled across the United States, past the United States, into the UAE, all that fancy shit for my artistry, right? And I cannot get mutual aid. Like, niggas, I have emails that say no thank you, or we can't accommodate. And it's because I cannot prove that being an artist or being a content contributor or being anything that I do is my primary source of income because I have a day job. But don't most queer, Black, trans artists, like, you know what I'm saying, have a day job because we don't believe in ourselves half the time anyways? And so when you listen,
and the girls got to get paid, okay? Because y'all don't give us mutual aid. You give it to each other, but we're
mad.
Scammers. We're scammers.
I hate everybody. I'm so mad.
Scammers. And if we needed help to buy diapers, we shouldn't have opened our legs.
It's wild to me each time I think about like the stuff that they say, you know, you don't qualify for this because, and I'm thinking about how many people get excluded from that narrative. And so white people are very comfortable, as usual, about when it comes to mutual aid. And yet the people who are left out in the margins are still going to be Black and brown people of color. So what do I know? Because I don't know much.
I'm trying to use it as a light bulb.
What are you doing?
For them?
What are you doing?
I'm just being like, yo, like, I'm not as, like, I do what I can and I don't have any funders. So it really just be me and like the squad getting asks met. But that's work that I've been doing for a couple of years at this point. And like on Facebook, I can always raise funds and I'm grateful for that. But on other social media platforms, I've definitely like
the Twitter, you can't raise funds.
Verification or like, well, where is this going? And it's like, I haven't seen that once in the past 2 months. Nobody is looking for a tax write-off. You know, none of that is happening. And so what I'm trying to do in my community full of white folks who want to be activated is like, yo, do you see the difference in reception? And what are you going to do about it in your circles? Because we can't go back to that's a scam and
can't go back to it
when this shit is all over. Like you should be willing to support folks that need support without any kind of parameters set. Like if you need this and I have it, I'm going to give it to you because you're a fucking human being and that's it.
I appreciate you saying that. Something I want to switch gears on because white people are always going to be white people. What about us though, right? And so something that you and I have touched upon briefly before in conversation, I think about, you know, you're a mom of 2 children, you're a wife, you are a content curator, you are yourself, you belong to yourself, you are a whole being, right? And as someone who is dark-skinned, someone who has dreadlocks, I wonder, like, the way that you navigate this world, right? Like, what does that look like for you? And like, how can folks support you, period? Like, you know, obviously light-skinned folks need to shut the fuck up and also like lend our platforms. And I can only say this because I have learned this throughout my years of organizing. We need to lend our platforms to voices that don't look like us, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I want to know from you though, what does that look like to have true support? Because you showing up as your full self and getting attacked for it. You showing up as your full self and getting the pushback and the gaslighting. What does support look like for you since you a bitch that don't engage in self-care?
Oh boy.
I'm coming for you.
Why are you doing this, DiDi? It was going so well. It was going so well.
You were like, as long as I can give answers that were full of fluff.
Ask me no. What? Oh man, support. I don't know her. I think just like if I won't do nothing else, I'm a bitch that'll talk.
Mm-hmm.
But once we open the floor up as Black folks, as darker skinned folks, as folks who don't fit the 3B coily bouncy hair continuum, it's really just about being like, yeah, what she said.
Right.
Because what often follows is fucking silence. And that shit is so, like, I could be right as fuck, but if nobody publicly, verbally has my back, that's its own form of dehumanization.
Right.
Because how the fuck am I so right and nobody has my back? Like,
or no one's amplifying your message because they're not sharing. Like, they're like,
I'm really lucky, like, because my counsel is badass. I fuck with them heavy. They go to bat.
You introduced me to one lady.
Yes, Yuli. Hey, girl, because I know you.
Yuli, that's what her name was. She's my Facebook friend.
Hey, boo. But yeah, like it's such a weird space to be in because I have this small but wonderful group of folks in Williamsburg, fucking Brooklyn of all places.
Gentrified.
Listen, gentrification capital of the universe. But they will fucking ride for me. But even we have a little group date and they're like, yo, these people are fucking crazy. And I'm like, I know. So just like shutting the fuck up is a thing that always works.
Right.
Because I think when marginalized folks start talking about like listening and differences, folks always use it as an entryway to continue talking about the same shit under the guise of, well, I have a vantage point too, and what about my perspective? And like that shit needs to be shut down every time it happens. Because I think that, like, I'm in another education organization and the word democracy is used often, but it's really just like, how do we make sure that the most racist person in the room doesn't get mad and like write a fucking New York Post op-ed about us?
Right.
I think we need to move away from like crisis management in terms of what people who are fucked up anyway are gonna do, and really just focus on like the needs and concerns and humanity of folks that we know are not getting the support that they need. And I really feel like we should be proactive instead of reactive. Like, don't wait for some fucked up shit to happen to me to be like, you know what? All the shit you've been saying for 10 years is true. Like, show up on the most simple post with an affirmation.
So how we can show up for you? Because I asked the question about you.
I don't do
you like people?
No.
Like support people?
Know, okay? No. A bitch needs professional help, but that's another episode, all right? There is no me. There's no I in team, okay, DiDi? Nah.
I love you so much.
Up.
You don't
like,
understand. I'm telling you.
Show the fuck up. Like, be loud about it. Like, don't slide in nobody's inbox. Like, go on the post where the fuck shit was happening and be supportive there. Don't come to my inbox like, wow, I can't believe that happened to you. What are you telling me for? It happened to me. Right. Like, go tell the bitch that was acting crazy that she's a piece of shit.
Right.
Like, let's get some folks fired. Let's get some scholarships revoked. Like, y'all play too much. And the folks on the opposite end of the spectrum, they don't give a single fuck. They're not being nice. They're not being democratic.
They're not
being palatable. They're not dealing with none of that bullshit. So I don't see why we have to sit around and be fucking polite.
My favorite phrase this whole year is stop playing in my fucking face. And I understand where you're coming from, that you have to like get in front of people sometimes and do that code because it's necessary in order to create space at the table. You know, like I know that, you know, niggas is still in the space where we're whole type of heart. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or like, it gotta be all black everything, right? And like, we live in a predominantly white world. And so it's like, how do we, when we insulate ourselves or whatever, how do we make ourselves back at the margin? Like back in the center.
No, I hear you. I'm here for the insulation. I'm the first bitch to be like, black, 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 blackity black. Ah! And I'm gonna be over here doing this shit too.
Right. Yes, and right? Like, because then we need to bring black to the center and still have the insulation and buffer, right?
I'm always gonna defend our right to like just be about us because we've been through a lot and it goes largely unacknowledged. You need some more wine, boo?
I won't. I drive to my husband real quick.
Like that's where I was at, which is why being in the space and having to make these allowances is so jarring because I had already hung up the like code switching cap. Right. I had already turned all that shit off. And then I realized that if I was gonna survive this shit, I was gonna have to move a little different.
Yuli says another way. I'm reading comments because I love
you, Yuli. I don't know, okay?
I love to do that on the show. Yuli says, Another way to support is to cultivate the space for Taj and team to come in, open that door and hold it open until everyone is in.
Thank
let's
you.
let's cause a ruckus, shall we?
And
So
don't like police the ruckus, right? Like,
y'all like, too loud.
Hey,
why you have to show like this?
That children are starving, but you were really nasty. Like, bitch, it's nasty that children are starving. Are you serious? Are y'all okay?
You have to be like this. I usually say you don't have to be like this, but you have to be like this. Thank you. I want to talk to you about desirability politics.
Aha! Let's do it. Let's quickly acknowledge my status as a skinny bitch who y'all think is pretty because she's skinny and has long hair.
You're very beautiful and you're skinny.
Appreciate that. I'm gonna leave it alone. Thanks.
She's like, I'm gonna leave it alone. And so yeah, I wonder about like, so clearly when we say dark skin, right? You would fit in that category, and you're very not 270. Like, you know what I'm saying? And also I'm light skinned and very not dark skinned. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so there's nuance and there's like this duality, and like we have to remember that you and I are desirable, right? And then we also have to remember that there is a politic behind that, just the same way that there is with queerness. Even though we're trying to act like, oh, it's just the ugly bitches always be hating on me or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yes, and there's reasons. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's reasons why the ugly bitches hating or whatever. But like, how do we? If I'm not me, who could I be, Taj? Okay, like, and what does that look like? When we give into desirability politics, are we taking away from ourselves when we elevate and uplift the highest, you know, because they look a certain way, or that they give into that certain aesthetic? Like, you know, what is the cost to ourselves to give into desirability politics, if anything?
Oh man, the cost is the whitening of Black culture at every fucking level. Like, I caught part of Feminista Jones's episode, and she was talking about casting in Hollywood and how every Black femme lead looks like Gugu Mbatha-Raw or Zendaya or Yara Shahidi. And that really resonates with me. Like, it's to the point where I don't watch much television now, not because I don't want to. It would be a great form of
And aren't you a pop culture critic? So
I am. Like, this is bread I'm losing that from articles I could be writing, but it's incredibly stressful to like scroll into Netflix and see yet another translucent Black woman. And that's if there's a Black girl at all, right? Because a lot of these stories.
Translucent.
Hey, it is what it is. There's light skin, and then that's what they're currently offering us. And it's a lot. Like, light skin folks up and through my family, this is another level.
Right, okay.
And that's if we're represented at all, right? Some of this shit just, there's no Black girl, period. There's a Black boy.
Right. And so that's the misogynoir we've been talking about like all week, right?
We either don't exist, or we are incredibly light and our hair is incredibly bouncy. Like, nobody got the Asada Shakur, nobody got the Lupi.
Not one person.
And it's ridiculous. And we're so starved for representation now. We're so excited about it. And like, don't get me wrong, I love Zendaya. I've been watching her with my kids since like they were babies. And I have a lot of respect for how she uses her platform, because she's someone that at least is aware of her privilege and talks about it. So I really appreciate it, because I know that kids are watching her. And you know, I love kids and I work with kids. So I see, you know, if she's saying some shit, they're gonna listen. So I have to listen, for her naming those things. But it breaks my heart that we eat it up and we don't even question it. And the folks that I see questioning it, they're not, it's my niggas. Like, it's not individuals with structural power to really have the conversation, take over the mainstream conversation. It's people that I know that, like, our lives are on the line, and we talk about this shit because we have to, because it's affecting us every day, because we notice whose Patreon is popping off and who's not. And it's directly related to these things. Even myself, I'm like, well,
I feel like I can't speak on it.
Why? Because you're light skinned?
No.
Why?
Absolutely not. This is my 4th cup of alcohol.
Okay.
And
you be quiet. You be quiet. And
I posted about that earlier. I was like, ask someone to write my ask, even though it's all the things I do. Ask someone to write my ask because at the end of the day, I want to uplift what I do without sounding bitter because that's what they assign to Black women, anyways.
they sure do.
There's a fucking, I can't believe I'm about to say this shit. Woo, but I feel like the ancestors, y'all been leading me to the path of righteousness this long. I might as well say, I feel like I don't understand. I mean, I do. I know what it's about. How is it possible that my peers, I've said this before in a post, my peers are not required to be on the ground organizers in the way that people like you and I are, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? They're not required. They could be talking about the same fucking shit. They could be talking about, I'm only posting whatever the fuck I want to be posting, whenever the fuck I want to be posting it. I don't have to cater to you. And yet we curate content to talk about these things. That's how I tell you, Taj. Sometimes I'll be wanting to go at it alone and just be like, fuck y'all niggas. Like, because that's what I feel like a lot of times from my peers. It'd be like, fuck you, DiDi. Even though it's not a direct, it's like a subliminal, it's an undercurrent of conversation. Because if I struggled for 7 days to make $3,500 just to give it away back to the community,
right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what does it look like for someone who has a higher privilege over me? And you might be struggling to raise $1,000 in the week that you need to get this shit done. What does the levels of privilege mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? I hate it. And I know that I benefit.
I also feel like folks tend to rock with individuals who are quote unquote on their level. And so it's a bunch of well-connected individuals supporting a bunch of well-connected individuals. And some of us are out here like we get shit done because that's who we are and we have no choice. But wouldn't it be great if someone with, 50,000 followers and a bunch of funders was supporting individuals like you, right, or myself or Creighton and all the other motherfuckers out here that are putting in work and feeding fucking families.
Right.
It's always just us. I see the same 6 people year fucking round. And I'm talking about before the pandemic and everybody thought mutual aid was cute. It's Creighton, it's Amy, it's you, it's like that's crazy to me. And it's not like the work is not visible because we stay on the grind so that no one has offered, right? Like also this idea that we have to go and like we're shaking the cup as it is in the capacity that we can.
Right.
And it would be great if folks
I've noticed that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, just like you got a platform, you got a blue check, you got all this fly shit going on. It would be great if you was even still connected.
And what I meant when I said peers. Thank you for saving grace. You understand what I'm saying? Because white people got so upset. Well, I really can't speak on other Black organizers. Bitch, I'm not asking you to speak on Black organizers. I'm talking about niggas that got checks next to their name and literally are not required. And I'm not speaking on no one's struggle. I'm talking about every day we get up and do, you said something in the very beginning of this broadcast. And I love saying I have a broadcast. You said something in the very beginning of this broadcast. You were like, at the end of the day, oh my God, please don't lose it. You were like, in the very beginning of the broadcast, you were like, I feel like it's the same people over and over again. You said it just now, but when we're talking about the same people over and over again, I can count those people. I can look at Amy Jones. I can look at Creighton Lee. I could look at myself. I could look at somebody even like Kinfolk Collective, who uses her platform to do her art, but still uses it to elevate at least weekly somebody who needs some money. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I look at people who do not share my intersections. Feminista Jones is an amazing person because she's up there and still be right here with us.
Yes, that's big.
Me and that lady had a 2-hour-long conversation and was right here the entire, didn't have no questions prepped. Actually, the questions I was like, do you want me to send? Do you want to call me before? She was like, no, bitch. We just like a hood bitch. That's a real bitch. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like I look at someone like Soledad O'Brien, right? She got a name similar to DiDi Delgado, and she might do amazing charity work. I have reached out to her and I was like, love you on my show today. no response. It's not important that people respond to me. It's important still how I show up. And I feel like my grind is so disgusting, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? And so that's why I guess I was wondering from you, like, do you see that? Do you see how, like, we have to work? We still got the black tax, but because we cash poor, we tax double on top of the black tax.
That's a fact. And then it's just like,
who am I?
It's also so bugged out to raise so much bread and just be broke as fuck. Like, I don't know. It's just wild. It's just wild. And every once in a while, you have somebody run up in the comments or in your inbox with some slick shit. And it's like, I wanted a Red Bull today, bitch, and I couldn't buy it.
Right.
But she's asking me for receipts. Get the fuck out my face. I'm
so that's the other thing. I did tell somebody who would.
I'm paying rent. I'm buying school supplies. Don't ask me shit. Like, if you don't trust me, just move. Like, go over there, and the folks who know what this is and how it works will support me. And that's another thing too. Like, part of the support is like I'm gonna go back to the shutting the fuck up, because folks with nothing to say are steady talking and adding to the emotional turmoil of this work just by being raggedy, just by being unnecessarily
raggedy, bitch.
Just by being like in your space for no other reason than to be energy vampires. But you could just like go over there and just let me do this work. Like, you don't have to support it. I can't force you. I can't put a gun to your head. But don't add to the already trying existence of a Black mage who dares to do community work. Like, how fucking dare you?
That's gonna pull me into my next question. First of all, how fucking dare you? There was a Black mage who slid up in my inbox. I have a lot of respect for this person. And they were like, I'm raising money, I'm showing receipts, and my fundraiser got shut down. And I'm like, because you're doing a lot of labor. You don't need to show receipts. Like, if we out here saying believe Black women, showing receipts is like, is a waste of time, because people are going to say what they want. To me, I feel like you literally have helped how many other people you have helped. I have helped however many people I'm going to help. Is literally because someone is still going to say you a scammer. From me to the other 6 people you mentioned, someone has already said you a scammer. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and so for me, receipts is not important. I just did a receipts post 2 weeks ago, because the white people was getting on my nerves. Oh my God, like, she did a fundraiser for her college, like, in October. Like, okay, bitch. And I posted that the bill got paid. So, I mean, it canceled out. It's not like I'm sitting here and I'm in Acapulco, like, got a 96, like, you know what I'm saying? And even if I was, so fucking what, right? So that's
right. I think that's another thing that, like, let me just put into the universe. Like,
come on, put it in the universe.
If you're gonna give somebody money, then what the fuck they do with it is what they do with it. If you give a Black single woman money and she decides that her self-care looks like getting her fucking nails done, that's none of your fucking business. And you don't get to then come on social media and disparage that person whose life you're not living because you would have did something different. I bet you would have did a lot of shit different because you're working with more means. Shut the fuck up. Give the money, mind your business.
Right.
And that's another thing that I'm not seeing in this mutual aid, right? I know I'm seeing all the social media posts of parents, non-Black parents, out doing all kinds of wonderful, magical things with their families that I know my Black ass would get dragged for.
Why is you and your family of 4 not wearing a mask? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Left the house because I'm not about to get beat the fuck up in over-policed Williamsburg in front of my children. But I know a lot of parents
actually monitoring parks out in New York City.
They're either locked up or being policed like a motherfucker. Unless you live in a gentrification hotspot, in which case the police are there too, but they're neighborly and wonderful, and glad that you're getting fresh air, and hope that you have a nice day.
How are you, Jamal?
Have a great time. Have a great time. Do you need my help? Because I can help. It's crazy.
I love it here. The last question I'll ask you is, oh my goodness, I lost my question, but I'm gonna find it again. Oh, how do you balance the drain of organizing versus the rewards of the work, which is helping Black mages?
Oh boy, DiDi, you're assuming that I balance things, and that's where you're fucking up, okay?
I'm fucking up too.
Balance? I don't know her. I'm very like, I do a terrible job at work-life balance because my life is the work, because I care so deeply and there is so much wrong. I have a wonderful husband who tries his best to make me relax, and I have wonderful friends who are always telling me to drink my water and did you eat today, bitch? And the answer is usually no, and then they yell at me and I appreciate them, but I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take for me to really take the reins and try to figure that out, especially now, because with the pandemic, all the folks I was already trying to look out for are in that much more dire straits. And we don't even have the proper data yet on what that looks like because folks are so lax,
right,
and want to create this narrative about how everyone is persevering and thriving and coming together and everything is so magical and rosy. And just knowing that.
All right, Chris Cuomo, I hear you.
Oh.
Did I say that out loud? I'm so sorry, Chris.
I hate him so much.
Send me money.
I really just, oh, Lord. Lord, New York, what are you doing? He's the devil. It's like embarrassing that Trump is so trash that we're like, oh my God, Cuomo, run for president. He's a fucking dick.
Right.
He's a piece of shit. He just slashed the education budget. He slashed the healthcare budget during a pandemic. Like, what? Are you crazy?
Right. That's your president.
I don't know him.
Excuse me?
I don't know him. I'm the president in my universe. It's me.
A girl has no president.
Correct.
So something that I ask all of my guests is a two-pronged question before we go. Is one, let's see, is one, if you, we talked about colorism, right? And so who are some people that you would love to see on the show, number one? And two, is there a question or a topic that I did not bring up that you're actually surprised I didn't bring up?
I'd love to see Afidi Nomo on the show.
I'm going to tag them so that way, because I don't have my pen, but I'm definitely going to tag them.
She is fucking brilliant. She knows all the things and she says all the things. And I think she keeps us all honest. In this space, she's someone that I know I can depend on to just always have us at the center and with the intersections most important to our liberation. So uplifting fat femmes, dark-skinned femmes, queer femmes, femmes that maybe are not in the fucking States, because we also have a very Western-centric ideology when we have these conversations. So love her. Chelsea, I think her last name is Nisa. I can check.
Okay.
She's also fucking amazing. I think we all are aware that Hes Love is the best ever to do it in life. I love her so much.
I'm gonna push back on Hes Love, and I'm gonna tag her in this post. I'm gonna be like, let me tell you, you said one time, comment here. This is what every nigga say. You said one time, comment here if I could get you some High John the Conqueror incense, and I commented here, and you never got my shit because, bitch, I know you busy. And a lot of people commented here. No, I'm gonna fuck with you, but I would love to have Hes on the show. We got some things. Okay.
I feel like I'm forgetting, and we're gonna like end, and then I'm gonna have all these people in my head.
Tag them when you get onto the post.
I will do. Also, you've already had some fucking phenomenal folks on here.
What?
I love Tobias.
Yeah.
I love Feminista Jones. I was really sad that I missed the parenting segment you did as well.
You didn't miss it. I'm gonna tell you why. You're all coming back, and I would love to have you on the show. Talk about radical parenting. We're gonna do a segment 2. And I don't make the show. I don't know if people know that watching. I don't make the show. What did we do before we even went live? We called each other. I was like, nigga, what you want to talk about?
Nigga, what you want to talk about? There you go. You're welcome, guys.
So is there anything that I didn't ask you or you were shocked that we didn't speak about?
No shock. I love me an organic conversation. Mm-hmm. I think I would have loved to. I'm always happy to talk ad nauseum about colorism and fatphobia and queerphobia, particularly colorism and fatphobia, because I think we talk a lot about race and gender and those other things, and I think colorism and fatphobia are those things that, I don't know, I feel like that's the next fucking level, because people act like it's so far-fetched that we attach our behavior to someone's complexion or their proximity to whiteness, or that we would, you know, we front like we love fat people so much and they can wear whatever they want. It's just about being appropriate. And we have all these fucked up rationalizations for things. So I would have loved to talk more about that, just because I feel like the conversation is so lax in those particular arenas.
I appreciate you saying that, especially the skinny bitch, because
that's what the
like,
vote looks like, though. If you a skinny bitch, it's your job to uplift fat folks. If you're white, if you are non-black, it's your job to uplift black folks and people of color. If
you're able-bodied, it's your job to uplift the voices of disabled folks.
There you go.
And blind folks and deaf folks,
even
right?
if I'm not going to do it, cis men in a perfect world, they'd be lifting up majors and women, but we see that they are
trash.
Shout out to the like 3 men on my Facebook that like donate and fuck it up for the one time, because
I have 1 man that donates, and then 2 white men, so it's weird. But one of them might get some pussy. I'm sorry about that sometimes, but not all the time. So
yeah, no, that's the work. And then all you old fucks, like all you old miserable fucks, can you please advocate for these kids?
Right.
I'm liking these posts that I'm getting their asses beat, because that's how you got raised and you turned out fine. Like, that's another one I'd love to talk more about. These kids really need us to fuck shit up. So I'm
trying to get some youth on the show, but I will say I've not done my due diligence. I reached out to 3 youth organizers, and they all like low-key famous, and people I've organized with when they was in their infancy, literally, or whatever, like, and they so famous, and they in college and COVID and all this stuff. And so same thing with sex workers. I'm gonna have a sex worker on the show, and I'm nervous because everything, right? Like,
this is the work. I'll make sure I'm there to drag people in the comments if necessary.
Thank you. And this is what I'm saying. It's like, I gotta produce a show, gotta host a show, gotta moderate the comments. I'm gonna get somebody. I have interns now. We're gonna see what happens once we have this introductory, conversation.
The whole situation. You got interns. I see you.
God has blessed me. I'm telling you. I did not think that I would ever pull this off, and I did not think that a lot of y'all niggas fuck with me, but Tamla tells me no, seriously, Tamla tells me all the time. That's the self-talk you do in your head.
What you talking about?
That's the self-talk I do in my head. I be like, none of these niggas I'm emailing is even gonna email me back. Everybody hates me, and it's only been like 1 person that was like, no. So I mean, I'm blessed. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm gonna leave it there. I want to say, I feel like I've thanked you so much, but I feel like, when niggas be like, can't thank you enough. No, I really can't thank you enough, because you did this on the fly. I tell you this, you was one of the first 8 people that I hit up, and niggas with a lot of shit to do was like, I'm busy, or I didn't see this. So this was composed in like 18 other emails I haven't unread. And then it was like all the famous people was like, yes, I can totally do it in 2 weeks. Like, so it was like everything's compacted. But I just want to say thank you for going through your email. If you are a bitch who needs to be on the show, please go through your email, because I probably emailed you. I don't know. So I love you.
I love you too.
And you don't have to. It's fine.
Stop it.
What? I do love you. And I feel like you're doing amazing things, and I know that you be needing to take care of yourself, and I think that's why I vibe with you, because you still be out here doing the amazing thing. I just wish you would do more amazing things, like taking care of yourself by stopping for 5 seconds. And I feel like I'm looking at a mirror and just saying, you know what, this is mom's time, and I just need to decompress, and y'all need to give me 25 to 35 minutes, because I know you can't hold that, but I need to say it, and I need, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. I love you. I hope that you have an amazing evening. And I thank you for being on this episode number 17.
Yeah.
Season 2.
And y'all better go watch the rest of the episodes. I'm not playing.
I love you, and I hope you have a good night, boo.
Love you too.
Bye.